friends, welcome to Homestead Hopeful. I'm Ken, and this is the 13th week of my little victory garden. Why don't you come see what has been growing and some of the things that I have just kind of let go. It has been a very busy week getting ready for school to start. We homeschool, so I've been spending a lot of time getting materials ready, making sure I have everything at hand, making sure that it's all set up and ready for my kiddos. So the garden has been a little bit neglected. I've made some decisions about things and then unfortunately have done really nothing about them because I've just been busy with other things. We had one, oh hello, ooh, yellow jacket. My kids have had one large and probably the last social event of the summer. So now that that's over, I'm focusing on getting school ready and finishing thinking about gardening stuff. So here we go. My strawberries are looking great. These are all of the little starts in the cups. They have been rooting nicely. I think I can cut off the runners pretty soon. And I just noticed the other day when I was sitting here that it's starting to give off a few more runners. So, oh look, that one didn't even touch the soil, so it didn't grow any roots yet. Oh, it started to. Tiny little root. Needs to be closer. That toothpick just isn't cutting it. But I have my little strawberry starts there. I brought out my fall starts there. Honestly, they may or may not get potted up. May or may not go into the ground. We'll see. If you remember, here is the leftovers of what ended up being the woodchuck ate. I'm letting these beans go to seed, so I'm just going to leave them on there. They're not, the woodchuck ate everything else, so they're not really good for anything else. The bean plants, some of them did make a little bit of a recovery, but clearly it's stressed out, so I'll just let these go to seed, and then I'll save these seeds. Same thing with these cucumbers never made a very good shape, so I'm just going to let them go to seed and I'll save those. Uncle Willie's has been going to seed nicely. I have collected quite a few, at least 3 times the amount that I put into the ground, so that's a nice thing to keep in mind for next year and trying to figure out how many I want to plant. And then I was looking the other day and the chocolate runner finally put off its first bean. I have no idea. I don't know if I just didn't fertilize it properly or if it struggled over here because it was the spider mites and all that, but it put off flowers initially, but just no beans. The beans would get about like that, and that's it. Nothing else. So I'm not sure if I'm just not feeding it properly. This little squash has not done anything other than put off a few flowers, so I'll just let it go because why not? It's in a nice little pot. And look what I finally have. My red Malabar spinach is finally doing what I wanted it to do back in July. Go figure. Something was eating it a little bit. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, potatoes. They're finally dying back. Yay! That one actually looks like it's the most ready of all of them. So hopefully this week I will be dumping potatoes. Peanut still has a ways to go. It needs to die back completely before I can do anything with it. This little guy, I shouldn't say little, it's huge. The saffron squash is huge. It's very, very pretty. I did nothing to protect it from squash vine borers. And it's evident. It does have some powdery mildew. I've already removed some leaves. I haven't done a whole lot. I'm just kind of honestly letting nature take its course with this. I will yank it out closer to the fall and go through the dirt and make sure that I don't see any of those little grubs so that the life cycle doesn't continue and I don't continue to have vine borers coming in and out of that pot. But otherwise, I'm just kind of letting it do its thing. I already had harvested, I think, 6 nice sized yellow squash, so I'm not worried. Let it do its thing. What's funny about the garden is when you threaten a plant for being pulled out, suddenly it produces. That is the very first yellow cucumber that I've seen that has resulted in any size. The rest of them, this is what happens. So I'm guessing they're not getting pollinated. I have no idea why, because the pollinators are constantly over here. Not today because it's really cold this morning. It's like 65 degrees this morning, which is cold for pollinators. And then look. Do you see what I see? Look at that. That's an okra pod. I think it's an okra pod and not a leaf pod. I don't know. I can't tell them the difference, to be honest with you. They start to look the same. But I think those are okra pods. I'm pretty sure. I'm very excited. So I might get some okra. Super Sweet's doing good. I'm harvesting little tomatoes off of it. They're getting smaller and smaller as the season goes on. I'm guessing that's because of the temperatures are getting a little lower. Basil's great. Harvested lots. You can see where I've cut so much of it. And I'm even starting to cut back the shoots that are growing, but it's still going, so it smells. I just touched it, so it smells delicious. Kajaris, looking good. I need to put a little net there in case it pops off while I'm not watching, but it's looking good. The second one is kind of deformed, this one right there. It's a bit more deformed, and I'm not sure why, but maybe it was a pollination issue. I have no idea. Otherwise, the cosmos and the nasturtium are doing great at pulling in the pollinators. This is usually swarming with little bees and flies and all kinds of insects. I've still gotten some cucumbers. Some of them have been really good size. Some of them have been these little wonky, misshaped ones because of inconsistent rain and weather. But it's doing well. Oh, look at that. That's going to be a nasturtium seed. Look at that. I'll have to remember to come back out and collect that little guy. Oh, look, there's another one. I'm trying to remember to collect seeds. A lot of the YouTube gardeners have mentioned that they too are doing that this year because even, I'm sure they do it most years, but making a considered effort to do it this year to save their seeds, because even if there is not a true seed shortage, there might be one just because people are purchasing more seeds than what they really need for this year because they're afraid of the seed shortage. So I'm trying to do my part and save my own seeds. Okay, inside the garden bed, this cosmos is getting huge. No flowers on it yet. The peas on below, I've only got 2 or 3 plants below. The rest of them were volunteer tomatoes. I've been pulling out the tomatoes because I don't want them there. Oh, I did get a couple more peas. That little guy's a pea, and that little guy's a pea. The rest of them are weeds or tomatoes. I think that's a weed. Somehow got in there. There's a little pea. So I guess I'm going to get more peas than I originally thought. They're just slow to come. Lavender is coming up high. I'm hoping that it'll bloom soon. Cucamelons have been wild and hard to control. They're just bigger than what I can give them space for right now. So just know that going in. See, they grow up so fast that all the space at the bottom that they could have had to fill in, they just, it was hard to control them in the very beginning. So put cucamelon somewhere that is easier to control, or you don't care if they sprawl out. But I've been getting these. My daughter likes them. I like them pickled. I don't necessarily like them fresh from the garden, but that's okay. Some of the peppers are still producing flowers. This one you can tell I picked. It's got a couple little buds there. These guys, I'm kind of proud of these. We have eaten them. These are the ones that I grew from seed. We have eaten a few. They are good. The flavor's good. They're just very thin-walled. Look at that guy. Oh, that's very heavy. That's heavier than any of the peppers I've picked so far. They're just very thin-walled. So I'm going to have to do some research over the winter and find out what it is that I'm doing incorrectly or that isn't feeding them enough so that I can do better next year. Look at all those little cucumbers. You are going to be pickled, my friend. Alright, I have one sugar baby left. It's doing very well. It hasn't gotten any bigger anymore. The stem still looks pretty green. So, I don't know. Oh, it smells so beautiful. It's in the nasturtium patch. The two fruition tomatoes are doing well. They're producing lovely tomatoes. There's this one, and this one's a green tomato. This is very mild flavor. It's very good. It's actually a little bit meatier too. There's less juice and seed in this one than, well, this one too. These are both like really, as far as the juice level goes, they don't pop in your mouth like the super sweets do. The super sweets are just boom. You can tell that some of them are just getting a little sick. I haven't done anything to control them. I haven't done anything to, you know, trim down the stems or anything anymore. I'm just kind of, I'm tired. The eggplant, I took it right out. It was right, you can see a little stem there. I took it right out. I only had one tiny little eggplant anyway. It was a poor position on my part. I should have given it, I didn't realize, first of all, that the ground cherry would get so large. And the tomatoes, I didn't have a better staking or trellising idea that kept them, that should have kept them off of the eggplant. So, while I'm over here, speaking of tomatoes, oh my gosh, they're just kind of a big mess. And that's okay, because I don't mind. I've cleared them out from underneath because I've slowly pruned them. So the bottom looks nice and clean, and then up top is a crazy mess. So it's almost like picking apples, but I get lots and lots and lots and lots of tomatoes. I have made dehydrated cherry tomatoes. I have roasted the cherry tomatoes. I've eaten them just raw right off the vine. I have also tried pickling the cherry tomatoes. I'm not a fan. It's your thing, that's awesome, but I just don't like the flavor at all. What else have I done? Well, I guess that's kind of it. Oh, I was thinking about putting them in oil. Yeah, so this batch, I think I'm going to try putting them in oil. I have made, as far as the big tomatoes go, I have made crock pot sauce. I've made sauce in a pot. I've tried the freezer method, so the core and score and freeze them, so that then I can just take them out and cook them down. I've eaten so many tomato sandwiches. I'm kind of sick of them at this point. But I have so much more, so I'm not going to let them go to waste. So I want to preserve them. Oh, and I've also roasted the tomatoes to make them into sauce. That was actually a very efficient method. All I did was cut them up into tiny pieces, put them on a cookie sheet, stick them in the oven at, I think, 425, and it was about almost 40 minutes to cook down, and that was it. Lucas's beans still look absolutely pitiful. It's very sad, but I'm still getting beans off of them, and they have started to recover. So I am getting new leaf sets. It's just not going to be that productive because, I mean, they were almost completely cut down. Like, look at those little baby beans there. Aren't they cute? Alright, so in this mess here, I have peppers, and here's a very good reason why I should have trellised up these tomatoes. Oh, look at that. Oh, see, the weight has just, I don't think that those will be able to. It's kind of a bummer because that was my other fruition. Yep, I might have to come back and clip those off because those might not grow through it. That's kind of a bummer. Oh well. So I do have some peppers that are still growing. I've pulled off a whole bunch of them. I made some pepper oil. I have no idea if it's going to turn out. I hope so, because my daughter and my husband will love that. I mean, look at it, seriously. Oh my gosh. There's so many tomatoes. And then the peppers. These are Pat's peppers. They've done really well for me. The banana peppers, they were supposed to be sweet, but they actually turned out a little peppery. Not terrible. They weren't by any means hot, but they definitely weren't sweet. The Chinese 5 color, they are hot. That's hot. That's a spicy pepper. My strawberries, aren't they pretty? Seriously, isn't this gorgeous to still have strawberries in August, almost September? Honestly, that is awesome. I have those cups doing right there. You can see that they're rooting. You can even see the roots starting. So that one's ready to be sat on a pot. So I'm very, very happy with these strawberries. And I'm so glad that I'm going to get some babies out of it, some new ones. It looks like, so I had 3 plants initially. 1, 2, 3, and I have 2 already. So this one will make a 3rd, so at least they've replaced themselves in the very first year. How crazy is that? The lettuce that the woodchuck ate is some of it is starting to come back. I'm very happy to see the red salad bowl lettuce come back because I really wanted that. The romaine is still there, it's just not doing well. It's shaded out by the other veggies right now. And ground cherries, finding them is a daily event, and I'm not sad. It's actually one of the highlights of my day because I'm saving them up for jam, and I only get, a small handful every day. Nobody else in the family likes them raw, which is fine. I'm the only one that enjoys to eat them raw, but I'm saving them up so that hopefully I have enough to make a batch of jam. The little squashes are doing well. There's the honey nut. The Gouda's right there. They're starting to change color a little bit, so those will be ready to pick and start to harden off. My mint, I picked a bunch of mint and dried that. I picked a bunch of thyme and dried that. That's drying as we speak. Actually, oh, look at that. I don't know if that's, yeah, some of the leaves actually look curled. I'm not sure why, but the top of it looks it looks almost like it's gonna keep producing tomatoes, so I'll let that one go until I can't anymore. I'm letting the dill dry. These are actually probably ready to come inside. I've just let them dry on the plant because it's easier that way. It's gonna rain today, so I might want to bring those in and finish drying them on paper. Like, these aren't quite ready. They're still green. Most of those are nice and brown, so I could probably bring that head in. I put a few seeds of the dill on top of the pot, and I've got one right there, tiny little guy. I've got some weeds growing in there too. Oh look, there's another one right underneath where the water hose is. So there's a couple of little dills that are starting. Yay. Oh, the poor cauliflower. Looks pathetic, doesn't it? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know whether it's going to continue to form a little head or not. It's so very sad. But the cabbages look pretty good, as long as I can keep things off of them. They look really pretty. Swiss chard made a comeback. Some of the kale made a comeback. This is the blue vates. I have picked some beans off of, as you can see, there's some nice size beans there. So it did finish growing a couple of beans that were tinky tiny. There were almost nothing on it. I mean, I could probably count all the leaves at this point, but let it go. That is getting ready to blossom. Next year I definitely want to make sure that I plant all of these pretty flowers well before I plant all of the other things, so that when they come outside they'll bloom first. Oh, I got a brand new one. Look at that. I didn't think I was getting any more, but these are nice size. Look at the size of that guy. That one's a good size. Nice red tomato. See, we got more ready to come in. Oh, look, that one might not be pollinated yet, but I do have a few. Look at how orange that one has gotten. It is very cool. So that's how you know that they're ripe. They turn orange. So it's almost ready to be picked and hardened off. It's the smallest one. That one's also the first one that got pollinated. So it looks like I'll end up with at least 4 of the honey nuts, which isn't bad for containers, trying to grow them in containers. All right, my friends, that's the end of my 13th garden tour. Thank you so much. If you have been with me from the very beginning, I appreciate you coming with me in these journeys. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and like the videos so that I know to make more content for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to leave a comment. Hope you are enjoying the garden, and if you too have gotten pulled away by other things, just get out there when you can and enjoy the beginnings of fall. Thank you, my friends. Bye-bye.